There are many cases of so-called alien abductions, where strange entities beyond our understanding often return with very strange stories, abducting seemingly defenseless victims. Some of these seem to really stand out, and here we see the strange case of a humble farmer who one day did a grunt job and changed his life forever. It started on a rural ranch in Manad, located in the country of Argentina. On the morning of September 6, 1978, 12-year-old Juan Pérez went out to collect grazing horses. The boy faithfully rode the horse into the nearby field where the horse stood, passing through an unusually thick fog. When he got on, he suddenly claimed that he saw a silver dish-shaped vehicle flying over his head. Not only that, strange objects began to illuminate the nebula with colorful rays and eerie glows, and Juan's horse panicked, crouched, and threatened to drive him away. It was all strange. The frightened boy went home, but his father was furious at him for not fulfilling his duty and sent him back into the fog, and this is where it gets even stranger. Juan was able to return to the field without incident, but here he encountered a rather strange sight. A large flying saucer stood just above the field, as if everything could be done on Earth. The large disc was dome-shaped, with round portholes on the sides, and Juan was scared, but he couldn't take his eyes off the sight of another world in front of hhim. As he stood stunned and stared at the alien object, the door seemed to slide open and extend a ladder, spitting out a giant 7-foot-tall entity from inside. It wore a metal suit, oversized gloves, and a cylindrical helmet with a tube that stretched to the spacecraft, perhaps some kind of breathing device, and raised his arms to approach Juan. Surprisingly, Juan doesn't run away, but instead dismounts and approaches the strange humanoid, who he rides into its own intestines. The first thing the boy noticed was that everywhere he looked was covered with flashing lights and flashing instrument panels, and although it didn't scare him at first, it changed as he entered. Deep in the ship, he came across a room in which there appeared to be a dead animal lying on the table, a cow or a horse. Juan was not sure of what, but gutting and bending over this creepy carcass, there was some kind of mechanized being, obviously working hard to dissect it. It was shocking enough that Juan ran back outside, where he was once again confronted by this tall figure. He then presents one of his gloves as evidence of the encounter, removing it to reveal a reptile-clawed hand, and when Juan takes the glove, he seems to pry open his arm to draw blood. This seemingly aggressive act of the creature and the revelation that its hand was strangely inhuman caused Juan to panic, jump on his horse, and ride home as fast as he could. In doing so, the ship is said to have detached some kind of metal sphere, which chased the boy, hovered over him, and sucked the gauntlet into itself, after which it flew away. When Juan returned home, he did so without his proof, but he still told his family everything that had happened. The mention of a dead animal is odd, since the father had found a dead cow lying around the block less than a week before, and this makes it all the more mysterious that the horse that Juan was riding would become inexplicably ill and die only a few days later. No one could really believe Juan's story, and he would become the object of ridicule, finding himself a recluse, living alone on his farm, and with only a few dogs to keep him in. I vote for you. The case of Juan Pérez is particularly interesting, not only in its strange elements, but also in whom it happened. He is a simple farm owner in Argentina who's barely literate and just wants to work hard in his own little world, far away from the big cities.